In this task, you will label roads, water, and parks using basic labeling techniques. In Task 2, you will improve the labeling using advanced labeling techniques. Open Qgis Desktop 2.2.0 and then open the salemdowntown.qgis project file. This project contains multiple OpenStreetMap layers that have been clipped to downtown Salem, Massachusetts. The scale of the map is 1 to 2500, which is the planned print scale. Therefore, every design decision made must be with respect to producing at this scale and this scale only. If you are not at 1 to 2500, you can change that down here. Let's get to labeling. First, open the label property for the waterways layer. So I'm going to do that by double-clicking on it, choosing the Label tab, and then choosing Label this layer with and Name as the attribute. Then I'm going to set the following properties. I'm going to choose Text. I'm going to set the font to Arial. Oops, just missed it. There we go. Going to set the style to Italic and the size to 9 points. For the color, I'm going to change that to 200, 255, and 255 for the hue, saturation, and value respectively. Now let's go to the placement properties. And for the position, I'm going to uncheck above line and check on line. I click OK. And now I want to focus on the South River label in the bottom right hand corner of the map. Notice that it overlaps with the road. This is not desirable label placement. Unfortunately, with the basic labeling options though, we cannot do anything about this. However, we will address this problem in Task 2. Now that the waterways are labeled, we're going to label the natural areas, which all happen to be parks in our map. So let's open up the properties for the natural layer. I'm going to choose the Label Property tab. I'm going to check Label this layer with, and once again, choose Name. And I'm going to set the following text properties. Arial for the font, so we can be consistent. Style is Italic. Size is 9 points. Now we're going to set the hue, saturation, and value to 123, 189, and 69. Now let's go to the placement properties. And for placement, we're going to make sure a round centroid is selected and visible polygon is selected. And I'm going to click OK. So take a look at Armory Park here. And notice that the label runs over onto the adjacent building. Again, not much we can do about that with the basic labeling, so we're going to address this problem in Task 2. Last for this task, let's label the roads. So I'm going to open the roads label properties. I'm going to check Label this layer with and choose Name. I'm going to set the following text properties. So once again, we're going to choose Arial. For style, let's leave it as normal. For size, let's go back to 9 points. For the color, we want black, so that's a hue, saturation, and value, all of 0. We're now going to go to the placement properties, and we're going to make sure above line is unchecked and on line is checked. I'm going to click OK, and now we can view the road labels. So the basic labeling does a pretty good job in labeling the roads. There are a few issues that need attention. So for example, we have labels that overrun the line. So for instance here in these shorter roads, and say Central Street here, we have streets names being displayed multiple times. So for instance, Washington Street is duplicated multiple times. And let's see here, we have labels that are also running off the map. So for instance, Congress Street. So out of all of those, we can address the duplicate labels by changing the labeling property. So for instance, Washington Street, we can get that to only label one time. So we're going to change that now. So I'm going to reopen the label properties for the roads layer. So labels. Now I'm going to click on Rendering, and I'm going to scroll down to Feature Options. There we go. And I'm going to check merge connected lines to avoid duplicate labels. Click OK. And now you can see that lines that are connected do not duplicate the label. But there are still some duplicates down here, for instance Washington Street, where it splits, that we may want to address later. Okay, so at this point let's save our QGIS project, and that ends task 1.